impulse purchase. Well, not an impulse. I call it an inspired purchase from eBay. So I shall do a quick flip through of these jewelry books, I think. Let's see if we can manage. This looks like an ex-library copy. So if you're into jewelry, guys, keep an eye for the coming videos. I'm excited. Like, these are more like crafting books. But for me, crafting or not, we take inspiration from all forms. So that's a coming soon preview for you guys. But let's put this aside and let's focus for today's video. Okay guys, we have here the antique dealer and collector's guide. That's the lovely candelabra, classic ceramics, derby, mason, and English contemporary Italian confections, the art of scagliola, glories of June, the London Antiques Fair. I'm excited, so let's dive right in. Asprey, London. This is a George Tree mahogany striking bracket cloth by James Gowan, Edinburgh, circa 1775 to 80. James Gowan, active from 1744 to his death in 1781, worked for a short period under the is an Irish canoe football with cut scallops, rim and flat diamond, cutting underneath. 6 Radstack Road, Midsummer Norton Path, PA328. Malham's Fine Art Auctioneer since 1788. A collection of Italian pottery, troop jars sold recently for £4,000. I like this, it's quite unusual. J. Collins and Son, established 1953. Antiques and fine paintings. The Studio, 28 High Street, Bedford, North Devon. It says the ceramics mug. Albert Emmer Limited, 18th century English porcelain, 37 Berry Street, St. James's, London, SW 1768. A fine unrecorded Worcester depot circa 1758 to 60. It's got a chinoiserie pattern, Joannia blue and white transfer printed pottery, 1780 to 1860. This is a glazed bluebell border series, Fonthiel Abbey, circa 1820. Valerie Howard, specialist in masons and other ironstone china. French faience, particularly Quimper. This is an impressive mason's ironstone purpurifers in so-called elephant foot pattern. With cover and liner, circa 1815, with an impressed mark. Derby porcelain. Left one painted by William Quakerbeck, 1798. The right one painted by William Billingsley, 1796. They're a pair of Derby porcelain pineapple dishes. And these are the descriptions. Exhibiting at the International Ceramics Fair and Seminar at the Park Lane Hotel, London W1. Peter Jackson Antiques, 3 Marketplace, Brackley, Northants. This covered the Cotswolds in some of the finest antique shops in the world. A wealth of antiques in the heart of England. Fine 19th and 20th century watercolors and oil paintings. Lawrence Hallett. Clay antiques. A selection of blue and white porcelain, Gangji mug, and of the period China, 1662 to 1722. La Maison, the largest source of French period furniture and architecture. lectures given by international academics. By the way, guys, before I forget, what I've done, instead of buying a pen holder, get yourself one of these vintage or antique ceramic pots. It's lovely. And use them as pen holder or desk diary. I'm a pen and paper person, so I've got a lot of pens hanging around, and it can get really cluttered. This is a magic coloring pencil. I like to do this when I'm doing my coloring book for meditation purposes. I'll do a video sometime to show you how it works, but yeah, I love this. We love anything unique and antique. That's a good rhyme. Anyway, back to our magazine. A major new fair in London for collectors, enthusiasts, and art lovers to admire and acquire the finest works of woven art from around the world. The Haley International Antique Carpet and Textile Art Fair. The Olympia Fine Art and Antiques Fair. Sylvia Baum, Decorative Arts, 1860 to 1960. Largest selection of Royal Doulton and Doulton Lapid stoneware in the UK. Also modernware, Minton, Secessionist, and other fine UK and continental art pottery of the period. Lovely. Do you always get value under the hammer? Under the patronage of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, the Grosvenor House Art and Antiques Fair, Grosvenor House, Park Lane, London, W1, Charity Gala evening, 11th of June. That sounds fun. Looks like marble. Very fine work of art. The London Ceramics Fair. Helen Finney Antiques, 18th and 19th century English pottery and porcelain. A selection of 18th and 19th century Derby animals and birds. Team Walney, the Wirral, 18th and early 19th century English porcelain, specializing in Worcester, Newhall, and Herculaneum. This is a Worcester coffee pot in 3 flowers pattern. That's what they call their pattern. But it's not 3 flowers. selling finest quality porcelain and pottery. Mostly at the fair you get retail price. Actually, not even retail price, sometimes inflated price. So if you're a dealer or a trader, maybe that's not a place for you to shop, but a place to get inspiration. The antique season. Rowing at Hanley, racing at Ascot, and tennis at Wimbledon are traditional constituents of the summer season in London each year. Yes, very busy summer indeed. This time there is the additional ingredient of the World Cup. I'm having a deja vu. Hang on. That's in 1998. That all happened this year as well. I think. No, actually, it's the Euro Cup, not the World Cup. Though, in the home of everyone who happens to turn on the television during the coming months, none of this, though, is likely to alter the enthusiasm of collectors for the events that make the month of June so important in the antiques calendar. The London fairs attract an audience from around the world, which is unlikely to deviate, even in the face of upcoming excitement on the beach elsewhere. Summer is also very busy in terms of car boot sales, so yeah, that's our time usually of going out and about. Very busy. Boy Be the Guide, an oil painting by Hugh Robinson from Angels and Urchins, the fancy picture in 18th century British art. Guidelines. Singapore Fair collapses. The 6th annual Treasurers Antiques Fair in Singapore, scheduled to open on April 23, was called off with less than a month's notice. Exhibitor pressure related to the disintegration of the Far Eastern tiger economies was blamed. The same fate befell the same organizers. Hong Kong event scheduled for May 7 to 11, and their British marketing firm Bradbury International of Southern Coldfield went into liquidation on May 6. Okay. New Portobello guide. I tell you what, you don't need a guide for the Portobello market. Just get yourself in the train and walk up, prepare to walk for miles in this antique market in London. It's actually in Notting Hill. It's quite fun. I think I'll create a blog for this. We've got loads of pictures on our Portobello trip. But of course we didn't buy anything apart from food. prices are retail, and there's no margin for traders. Taxation solution. After many months of deliberation, the government has finally concluded a deal with the trustees of the Marquess of Chumley. This is the word people really get confused with on Facebook. It says Joel Monthly, but I think they pronounce it as Chumley. Don't ask me why it's pronounced like that, they just do. A drink and etching by Science English, 1649 to 1556, after Francis Klein. From the Print in Stuart, Britain, 1603 to 1689, at the British Museum, London, until 20th September. Expansion in Bedford. Spink Sell. Top London dealers, Spink & Son, are to sell off their excess stock of less valuable items in order to concentrate their efforts on smaller numbers of high-quality pieces. The items, comprising mainly Oriental works of art and British pictures, will be offered at the first weekend auction ever to be held in London by Christie's, who acquired Spink in 1993. We've seen Spink & Son featured in ads a lot of times. International Weekend in Chiswick. New art business degree. Sotheby's Institute is launching a unique new MA degree in art business starting in September 1990. This one-year course leads to the first postgraduate qualification available in Britain for art graduates, for art history graduates who intend to pursue careers in the commercial art world. Yeah, I've seen this in Facebook as well, guys. So if you are interested in getting a postgrad from Sotheby's, that's for you. That's a fine Chinese Qianlong period porcelain bowl, 4 and 3 inches in diameter, with slightly everted rim, sides curving, and the hollow foot insides with 2 5-claw dragons pursuing a flaming pearl among cloud of waves in aubergine on a green ground. Right, that sounds like a novel. Asia Week in London. German Stoneware Guide. A collector's guide to antique German stoneware, 1500 to 1800. Collector's Eye. The Collector's Eye from Romney to Renoir. A set of 18th century graduated tassels circa trays held glasses for basilica and jellies or fruit, either preserved or fresh. The top glass was used for an orange or pineapple, as pineapples were rare and expensive. I see. It was sometimes possible to see the same fruit at different functions within a short period. The pineapple is a symbol of welcome, hence its use on gateway finials. There you go, guys. There was a very prominent house in Scotland, I think, or somewhere in north of England, who actually built a pineapple dome building. So that's the reason. The pineapple is a symbol of welcome. Now we know. Profit for institution. Boom in ceramics. Henriette wrote June an oil painting, circa 1923 by Matisse, Jacobean prints, the print in Stuart, Britain, 1603 to 1689, is an exhibition at the British Museum, London, until 20th September. The first survey ever held British printmaking during the reigns of the four Stuart kings, James I, Charles I and II, and James II. The century has long been studied by historians from a political, economic, and literary point of view, but less so through the paintings and prints, despite the fact that the latter were by far the most popular visual images of the time. By the way, visiting the British Museum is free, so if you ever want to have a look around, I think it's worth it. In brief, a slip of veneer from Guy Boostfield, and even if you've been to the British Museum before, you can keep going back because they have different exhibits happening every now and then. I have read somewhere that what we normally see in the British Museum is actually around 10 or 20%. I might be getting that wrong of what they really have in stock. So guys, visit the British Museum if you can. You won't regret it. Well, I don't. Beyond utility, the early 20th century Vienna workshops were dominated by two designers, Joseph Hoffman and Dagobert Pech, described as Austria's greatest genius since the Baroque. Pech has been the subject of a recent exhibition by Simon Jones. Above left, a chair and display cabinet designed by Pech in 1913. That's very basilic. Left is a silver and coral jewelry box designed and run by Postage from 1917 to 1920. This is not just a run-of-the-mill flip-through guns. We try and learn and be inspired. Above left, from a wallpaper pattern from 1914, and left, a view of the MAK exhibition in Vienna, with the 1922 desk and chair for Edward Est in the foreground. This is a 1992 vase painted with black stripes, giving me Art Deco vibes. This, yeah, because it's the 20s. Ceramics comedy. The Comedians of France, Anthony Postage by Michael Newman. Austerity to affluence, British art and design, 1945 to 1962. Dream for the table, wooden objects related to eating and drinking, by Jonathan Levi, on the Collector's Club, 35 pounds. Looking for British pots. The lively market for fine British contemporary ceramics is highlighted at a London fair this month by Adrian Sassoon. Above left is the Tutti Frutti Bumper Conjoke by Kate Malone, bamboo laced earthenware, 1997. And left is a seedpot vase by Kate Malone, crystalline glazed stoneware, 1997. Private collection, Australia. Above right, a vessel from the Place of Stones by Gordon Baldwin, earthenware. What even is that? Have no clue. Right, it's a teapot by Walter Keeler, Wilden glazed earthenware, 1998. Okay, we're not going to read those unless something is outstanding. Okay, now I think this is the cream of the crop. Mason's landscapes, as well as the useful ironstone, for which the factory is best known. Masons produce a series of distinctive vases decorated with landscapes. When, at the end of the finest decade of the 19th century, Miles Mason felt confident, his reputation as a manufacturer of tea and dessert wares, his thoughts turned to ornamental vessels, and for the brief 3 years before he officially handed over the running of the factory to his sons George Miles and Charles James, he produced a short series of vases painted with English flora and landscapes. restricted himself to surfaces with painted landscapes in the neoclassical manner, such as that in the Hagar collection at the Potteries Museum, Stoke-on-Trent, with cartouches laid out with elegant simplicity in fresh tones of green, yellow, and brown animals, giving me European vibes. Yeah, I think Safrays did this kind of thing. But it's not Safrays, it's actually Mason. They're good. We're used to seeing Mason's ironstone, so this is a nod to the European taste of fine art. There you go, guys. Enjoy. None but the brave. As the cost of exhibiting at fairs rises inexorably, courage is needed by the participants, but bold specialists in fine furniture will still display fine pieces at the principal events in June. That's a nice one. This is one of a pair of Louis XV gilt wood photios. I couldn't pronounce that with the unusual feature of a carved apron below the citral. This one maybe. Never mind. Eclectic Derby. Yeah, maybe there was a trend of producing neoclassical vases. Among the many achievements of the Derby porcelain factory in the late 18th and 19th centuries, the work of the artist decorators was among the greatest. I wouldn't have thought these were English porcelain. The decoration of English porcelain is one of the most fascinating aspects of the ceramic field, and most collectors' interests are directed to the skills of the artist decorator. From the commencement of porcelain manufacture in England in the middle of the 18th century, a vast variety of subjects were lavished upon a wide complexity of shapes, from the useful to the ornamental. The most popular subjects were flowers and landscapes, which all the factories turned out with varying quality, ranging from the mundane to the magnificent. So guys, that's a clue. If you see neoclassical vases and you're doubting whether it's Safrays or Meissen, touching on the European bug of the rise of the Mycen and the Savrays. But they were pretty nonetheless, very pretty actually. Confections of color. That's the word I wanted to say. FOMO. They're having a FOMO on the European trend of Mycen and Saffrons. Confections of color. Table slabs of scagliola, a form of plaster decoration imitating marble, were produced by Tuscan monks for wealthy patrons in the 18th century. A few rare examples have come to light, signed by the mysterious Petrus Antonius Paulini. The wealthy Englishman's love of the gentler arts was common to much of Europe during the 18th century. Ever popular was the study of botany, entomology, and ornithology, which would reach its peak by the early 1800s, with the publication of 2 tomes, the magnificently illustrated Robert John Thornton's Temple of English Flora, published in 1799. No wonder we see lots and lots of books on birds and plants and insects during this period. So if you were a wealthy Englishman during the 18th century, you spent a lot of time studying those things. So these are scagliola table slabs, very beautiful. So scagliola is an imitation marble. You thought it's marble, but it's not marble. Nonetheless, very beautiful one. No, we don't call it imitation marble. We call it scagliola. Glories of June. On view, it says. It looks like Art Nouveau figurine. Lovely drop leaf table. La Pata, the Association of Art and Antique Dealers. In the sale rooms, record breakers. Portrait of the Grosvenor family by Charles Robert Leslie. Run the Lone exhibition at the Grosvenor House Art and Antiques Fair. This picture, printed in 1831 from the private collection of the Duke of Westminster, shows the Marquess and Marchioness of Westminster and family in antiques and collectors fair. They just had this in the south of England showground this first week of November. Lots of antiques fairs. Lomax Antiques Fairs, the first Wolverstone Fine Art and Antiques Fair. Cooper Antiques Fairs are different locations. We have this chair, a very exact copy of this chair. Nice. More antiques fairs. Petersfield Antiques Fair, Stafford Giant Tree Antiques Fairs, the London Glass Fair, Royal Tunbridge Wells, Queen Davis Fairs, Fairs for Summer 1998, Heritage Antiques Fairs, London's longest established regular Sunday fairs organizes at different hotels. Don't forget, make a date in Birmingham, the heart of England's antiques trade. Watts of Westminster, established 1874. Great Missenden Antiques Fair, the Memorial Hall. Magna Carta Country Fairs, Runnymede Hotel, Egham, Surrey. You can actually have a lovely walk in Runnymede during summer. Yeah, we had a lovely walk there, and we climbed on top of the hill. It's nice. Surrey Antique Restoration, AC Cooper Limited, fine art photographers for the 6A Maddox Street, London. Packers and shippers of antiques and fine art, Wingate and Johnston. Carvers and gilders, specialists in the conservation and restoration of fine wood carving and gilding. Coming up for auction, that's lovely. The magnificent Drury-Lou Suturing cover and liner by Paul Delamry, London 1736. From the Ortiz Patino collection, which comes up at the Sotheby's London sale of silver and votive on June 4, where it is estimated at 500,000 to 800,000 pounds. Dear me, that cost more than a house. This dream, guys. Why the price? Probably a museum piece. Museums are definitely one of the richest organizations in the antiques world. subscription. I can't go back. I just get inundated. I barely have time for myself. HP's galleries, antique and fine art auctioneers, valuers and appraisers. Antiques and Fine Arts, Southampton Institute. It's interesting actually. Their appraisal BA Hans Fine Arts Valuation. BA Fine Arts Valuation Studies. An unaccredited route designed for collectors and dealers. That's interesting. There you go, guys. If you want to do this, it's the PA Hans Fine Arts Valuation. RICS General Practice on Chattels. Interesting. Screenshot that if that's something you want to do. That sounds good to me. There's so little time, so we'll lay that down to rest for the time being. Collectics, the future holds the key to the past. Antiques and collectibles on the internet. Antiques Trade Gazette, the trade newspaper which covers the antiques and fine art market worldwide. Okay. Cream of Art Nouveau, the Paris Salons 1895 to 1914. Volume 4, Ceramics and Glass. Fine Art and Antiques Fair, the Summer Olympia. By Antiques and Fine Art Olympia, London. This is by P&O Events. I didn't know they have that. The Square, Stowenwold, Gloucestershire, GL541AB. That's pretty. If you want to leave us comments, please do so below. We'll put this on eBay, so check out for links in the description box below. And on the next video, which will be tomorrow, hopefully, I will do a flip through of either that or this one, or even maybe 3 of these altogether. Let's see. How detailed you want to be. Okay, guys, if you haven't done so, please don't forget to subscribe and like and share. We'll link more videos on the playlist here in the top right corner, somewhere here. So check it out. Okay, guys, you